The whole world's in chaos right now because Iran has shut down the Strait of Hormuz. No matter how many airstrikes the US launches or how big their claims are, as long as commercial ships can't sail through the strait without fearing Iran, the US can't really say they've won. Honestly, this war isn't just about showing off military strength anymore, it's turned into a psychological battle about who can wear the other down more economically and mentally. What's even more interesting is that while Iran is blocking the Strait of Hormuz in the Middle East, Russia is also cutting off fuel supplies to the West. As soon as the announcement was made, chaos erupted in the global oil market. The energy weapon jointly wielded by Iran and Russia is signaling a dark plunge into a devastating global recession. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode, where we'll take a deep dive into how Iran's deadly weapons in the Middle East's raging war are pushing the world economy toward this severe downturn. After the conflict between Iran and the US shifted from land to sea, the Strait of Hormuz has been completely shut down since March 2026. At least 16 large commercial ships have been directly targeted due to Iranian attacks in the waterways. Just this Wednesday and Thursday, Iran launched a series of attacks on 4 ships, causing major disruption in the international shipping industry. This time, Iran isn't just using traditional missiles, they're also deploying advanced drones and unmanned surface vessels, basically suicide remote-controlled devices, making it really tough even for big warships to stop these attacks. The details and condition of the ships hit look pretty grim. A Thai bulk carrier named Mayuri Nari, heading from UAE's Khalifa port to Kandla in India, was hit by 2 missiles near Oman's coast. After a fierce fire broke out on the ship, Oman's navy rescued 20 crew members, but the vessel is now completely damaged and stranded at sea. Similarly, a Japanese container ship called Wan Majesty was attacked near UAE's Ras Al Khaimah, suffering serious damage to its lower section. Meanwhile, near Basra in Iraq, 2 huge oil tankers named Safe Sea Bashnu and Zephyros were also targeted. When Iran carried out the suicide boat attack, some Indian Navy personnel working on these ships were also injured. Earlier, in March, Iran had attacked the Marshall Islands' Academy Bayom and warned that the Strait of Hormuz could be closed. According to the US Central Command, Iran has laid extensive marine mines, basically underwater explosives, in the waters around Hormuz. Many of the small boats and ships Iran is using are actively serving as mine layers. Iran's weapons aimed at defeating the US pose serious risks for global energy security and maritime trade in the Strait of Hormuz. Hormuz is a geographic spot that basically controls the heartbeat of the global economy. It's a narrow waterway located between Iran and Oman, and it's called a choke point because of how strategically sensitive it is. Around 20 to 25% of the world's total oil consumption passes through this tiny strait to reach the global market. Iran has established a strong military presence on the northern shore of this passage, making it their most powerful strategic weapon. Even a military superpower like the United States hasn't been able to easily defeat Iran because of this geographic advantage. Here's the situation. No matter how much US President Donald Trump increases pressure on Iran or threatens military attacks, he hasn't been able to weaken Iran's hold on the Strait of Hormuz. Technically, the US's big aircraft carriers are powerful, but in such a narrow area, those ships can easily become targets for Iran's small, fast missile boats and sea mines. Iran is using asymmetric warfare here, challenging the US by opting for cheap but effective technology instead of expensive weapons. The US has Even though Iran claims to be the undisputed winner of the maritime region, it's still stopping and detaining foreign ships in these waters. A recent diplomatic move from Iran has put the US on the back foot even more. Iran is now laying down a clear condition for countries around the world. If any country wants to safely send their oil tankers through this choke point, they first have to sort out their relations with the US and Israel. In other words, those countries now need to lean towards Iran's side. In reality, the Strait of Hormuz isn't just a waterway, it's like Iran's strong security shield. It's about oil politics and Russia's role. The current unrest in the Middle East isn't just a border dispute between two countries, it's a dangerous global energy power play. While Iran and the US are the main players everyone talks about, Russia's role behind the scenes is actually a crucial strategic move. When Iran created blockades in the Strait of Hormuz, causing shortages of oil and gas in the world market, Russia used that situation to its geopolitical advantage. The US tried to isolate Iran from the global market by imposing tough economic sanctions, but Iran, with Russia's cooperation, has signaled that those sanctions can be made ineffective. The most interesting part of this politics is the humiliation for the US. America sees itself as the world's top power and expects others to follow its sanctions, but Russia has teamed up with Iran to create an alternative economic pathway. Russian President Vladimir Putin has even agreed to supply oil to countries like India, and the US easing sanctions for 30 days basically means the end of America's solo control over the global energy market. Russia showing hesitation about whether to supply gas to Europe has put President Donald Trump's administration on the defensive. The more the US tries to pressure Iran, the more Russia benefits and expands its influence. Because of this, the US's investments and military pressure on Iran haven't really paid off. The tensions created by Iran have also affected oil prices. For Russia, the situation is financially beneficial. When oil prices go up, Russia's reserves of foreign currency increase. So even though Russia talks about peace on the outside, behind the scenes, it's supporting Iran's resistance capabilities to keep the US stuck in the Middle East mess and weaken American influence in Ukraine and elsewhere. Putin's strategy with energy as a weapon shows just how deeply he understands Russia's grip on the global oil and gas markets, as recent events have made clear. The European Union has imposed multiple rounds of sanctions to weaken the economy and aim to completely end dependence on Russian energy by 2027. But instead of waiting for Europe's plan, Putin has taken an aggressive approach. He's clearly told his government to seriously consider what would happen if Russia stops supplying energy before Europe shuts the door on Russian energy. Putin's proactive move has put Europe in a spot where they're stuck in an extreme energy crisis without time to find alternatives. They can. The main goal of this strategy is to make Western countries, especially the US and Europe, realize how expensive and difficult the global economy can be without Russia. In the past, Russia supplied 45% of Europe's total gas demand and 25% of its oil. Although sanctions have reduced this to 13% now, Putin has threatened to cut off even this remaining share. If Russia suddenly stops supplying, there will be a shortage of oil and gas in the world market. In that situation, no matter how much money Europe has, they won't be able to quickly find another supplier. There's no way to find an alternative because the oil routes in the Middle East are also tense due to Iran. Putin's energy weapon has increased the risk of the global economy falling into stagflation. This means economic growth will stall, but inflation will rise rapidly because fuel prices are going up. When petrol and diesel prices skyrocket, transportation costs go up, making everything from food to everyday items more expensive. This will hit developing countries even harder. With fuel shortages, factories will shut down, people won't be able to go to work, and many will have to work from home. There might be some unavoidable pressure. This will eventually lead to a global recession. Through this move, Putin is trying to send a message to US President Donald Trump and other Western leaders that they're not the only supreme leaders in the world.
Russia has already identified new markets for its oil, like China, India, and Turkey. Because of this, despite Western sanctions, the Russian economy is holding on. Putin's economic weapon has shifted the war from the battlefield to everyday lives of ordinary people, reaching their homes and streets. In the next few days, we'll find out if the world is heading back towards peace or sinking deeper into a terrible economic depression that could take decades to recover from. So, what do you think of today's series? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and if you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and also hit the bell icon so you're the first to know when we drop a new video. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more